Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Howdy.
Morning.
Morning.
Terry. And we have a quorum. That's great. Jay, have you been sworn in?
I have.
Wonderful. Welcome to the group again.
There's Charles.
Good morning, Charles.
Morning.
And you all got the email from Bill. He's having some flight issues, so he won't be here for the meeting.
Right. I got 10 o'clock. Let's call this special board meeting to order at 10 o'clock. We have a quorum present. We have our wonderful Hamed Jones, and we'll take attendance next. Please, if you would do so, Ms. McEwen.
Director Grace,
Yep.
Director Jensen,
Here.
Director Quinn,
Here.
Director Carlin,
Here.
and President Han.
Here. Everyone is here. May I hear a motion to approve this agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Jay, second by Terry. Ms. McEwen.
I'm going in alphabetical order here. Director Carlin,
Aye.
Director Grace,
Aye.
Director Jensen,
Aye.
Director Quinn,
Aye.
President Han.
Aye, that motion carries 5-0. The agenda is approved. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it
Stands one nation under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Public comments on non-agenda items. Ms. McEwen.
Okay, I believe we can dispense with that as we have no members of the public present.
Scratching item number 5 and moving to item number 6, disclosures by the board of directors. Ms. McEwen.
Board members are asked to disclose any outside communications with individuals and organizations that have an action item on this agenda that pertains directly to them or their specific personal or private interests, and which communication is not included or disclosed in the agenda package, so that all interested persons have an equal opportunity to express and represent their interests.
Board members, a shake of head will be fine for me. Anybody? Nothing to disclose. Item 7, Alpha, adopt resolution 2021-25 and establish the appropriations limit for fiscal year 2021-22. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, President Han. The district is required to annually update the appropriations limit as required by California law. This year, we applied the factors provided by the California Department of Finance. Those factors were a per capita personal income inflation factor that was 5.73% and a population growth factor for Kern County at 0.65%. When we multiply those together, we get a factor of 1.0642. We then apply that to the previous year's appropriations limit of 10.8 million, and we arrive at our new appropriations limit for fiscal year 21-22 of 11,564,642. Now this applies to our general fund and the amount of property tax revenue that we budget or appropriate. And so in our scenario of next year's budget, we're estimating our property tax revenues at 1,864,000. So that amount that is appropriated as part of the general fund budget is well below our limit. But we are required to do this calculation and adopt this every year. So with that, I stand for any questions you may have.
Director Carlin. Any questions from Director Carlin?
Yes, sir.
Director Grace.
None for me, sir.
Director Jensen.
None, sir.
Director Quinn.
No, thank you.
And none from me. There's still nobody in the public Christie?
Let me double check. Nope.
All right, let's roll this on.
I move the Board of Directors adopt Resolution 20/21-25 and establish the appropriations limit as calculated above at $11,564,642 for fiscal year 21/22.
I'll
Second.
second.
I have a motion by Quinn, second by Jensen. Roll call vote, please.
Director Carlin,
Aye.
Director Grace,
Aye.
Director Jensen,
Aye.
Director Quinn,
Aye.
President Han.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item 7, Bravo, adopt resolution 2021-26, approving the final budget for fiscal year 2020-21, public hearing item. Mr. Jones, and by the way, anyone out there who wonders where all the money went, here we go.
Thank you, President Han. As required by California Government Code, the district is required to either adopt a preliminary budget or a proposed final budget by July 1. It also has the option to then adopt a final budget by September 1. However, it's been staff's intention and goal to have the final budget adopted prior to the start of the fiscal year of July 1, and that is what we have proposed for you here. Christy, if you wouldn't mind going to the presentation, because I don't have it on this computer. Thank you. So we'll do just a kind of a quick overview of the 21-22 budget. As a recap, we held a budget study session on May 28th with the Board of Directors and the public. We then had it reviewed at the Finance Committee on June 16th, and it was recommended for approval to the board. We have done the notice in the Tehachapi News for the budget adoption. And as we've done in the past couple of budgets, we've included some newer schedules, fund balance schedules, transfer schedules, a capital outlay summary schedule, as well as our cost allocation plan to hopefully show more transparency behind the numbers. We've also included the district's budget fiscal policies in their current form. These are something that we would like to review. We started a review at this last Finance Committee meeting, and we plan on taking the remaining sections to the Finance Committee over this next fiscal year so that we can have a more current revised budget and fiscal policy document for the next year's budget. This budget does include a cost of living adjustment of 2.7%. That's calculated off of the annual CPI change from March to March for the Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim region. That's the same factor and calculation procedure that the district has done for many, many years. And that's as outlined in the current MOU with police. The budget includes revised year-end estimates for the current fiscal year 2021 that we're in for both revenues and expenditures. And it also includes, of course, the proposed budget numbers for next fiscal year 21-22. It does include transfers from reserve funds that are still needed for roads for their debt service, the last debt service payment that they have on their loan, as well as from wastewater and the solid waste funds to fund their operating and capital needs. Just a quick, Chris, if you can go down, there you go. Fiscal overview of each fund. Our general fund total expenses was $3.2 million. This is including transfers. That's an increase of about $379,000 or 13%. A big component of that increase was the transfer to the roads fund towards the roads debt service of $229,000. As far as within the general fund, the police total expenses were $1.9 million. That's an increase of about 3.6%. The gates total expenses were $656,000, and that's an increase of about 7.1%. Pretty much the entire increase for gate is a result of the minimum wage increase in California, where we have to go from $14 to $15 per hour. In the roads fund, our total expenses were $2.1 million. That's actually a decrease of about 10%. Largely due to the capital items decreasing. Water Enterprise Fund, 4.5 million. That's an increase of 8.8%. The Wastewater Enterprise Fund total expenses just under $1 million. That's an increase of about 17%. And that is primarily from the inclusion of capital. In the prior year's budget, it was before the wastewater rates had been increased. We had a very small number for the capital, and now we've got about 125,000 included in there for next year's budget. Solid waste is at 857,000. That's pretty level. It's just a very small increase of 0.4%. Our other funds, these include some of our debt service funds for loans that exist in our wastewater and water fund. It's just a decrease of 0.7%, and that's just based on amortization schedules of debt, just slowly going down. Overall, when we look at our district-wide total expenses without transfers, the number is 11.6 million, and that's an increase of about 2.7% as compared to last year's budget. That concludes kind of the quick overview of the budget. I'm available for any questions you may have.
I still see no one in the public. Director Carlin, the floor is yours.
Yes, so thank you, Hamid, for putting this together. Thank you, the Finance Committee, to looking at and then scrubbing it. I did have a couple of questions, since I want to start with your general fund administration on 51 on 50203 account number, going from roughly $2,000 to $13,500. Is there something extraordinary that we're going to spend well over 10 grand more than we have in the past few years?
Yeah, give me 1 second to look at some of the detail behind that.
Apologize in advance for not giving you some of these numbers in advance on it.
No problem. This was something that Bill, asked us to include. He wanted to have some special mailers out to our residents. We were anticipating maybe 6 per year at a couple thousand each. I think this was just to kind of expand on some of the results from the community survey about having some maybe better engagement and ways of getting information out to our public. So that's the reason for the increase.
Okay, thank you there. I want to move to General Fund 40, the police, under 50238. It's going from roughly 2,500 to 15,800. What are we buying in equipment wise? Do you know?
Yes, give me 1 second. So that includes body worn cameras for PD, 6 of those at about 7,800 total, a radio for the new police vehicle at about 4,000.
All right, thank you. Drop down to General Fund 40, General Services 68, under 50266, under building maintenance. Just want to see if that's a typo. You're going from 13,200 to 3,200. Wonder if you forgot the 1 in front of it.
It is not. We had added about, it's typically, that line item is typically about 3,200. Last year's budget at 13,000 included an additional 10,000 for some kind of one-time maintenance, building maintenance that the General Services Department had planned. And so we dropped it back down next year. It was anticipated that we would get those done in the current year.
Okay. And again, I'm just an overview statement. If you pull out the snowplow, the fuel station, the skip loader, the boosters, the vehicle purchase, the HVAC, all adding about $500,000 of really, I'm going to say, one-time expenses or extraordinary one-time expenses. Basically, our budget is actually less than it was last year. Is that a fair statement?
You could say that, although I would say that when you're comparing it to the previous year's budget, that also would have included some one-time and capital expenses. So to really have a true comparison, you'd probably have to take those out as well. But I think when we went through the budget process, we did overall, when we looked at just operating prior to looking at one-time requests and capital, our salaries and benefits were up overall. And that's, a result of, our pension expenses going up and medical expenses going up. Our services and supplies, I think did have maybe a slight decrease or just a slight increase. We really tried to keep those, tight. And so, yeah, overall, we're doing our best to keep our operating budget in line. And then we look at those one-time capital and non-capital requests.
Those are my questions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Director Carlin. Director Grace.
Yes, Mr. President, I didn't have anything additional. We did, as you and Director Carlin had mentioned, we did review this at Finance Committee last week and received public input as well at that time. So I think I've grilled Hamid sufficiently at this point, so I'll defer to the other directors.
Thank you, sir. Director Jensen.
Yes, good morning, sir. I had asked for a breakdown of general fund usage by percent by department. Were you able to get that?
I don't have it exactly laid out. You can kind of see from, let me get my presentation up. The PD portion would be, let's see, 1,906,367 divided by the total of 3,254,996, and that's about 58%. The gate at 656,000 divided by the total general fund budget, another 20%. And then outside of that, you've got some transfers to the Parks and Rec Fund for Lake Phil, a transfer over to the Roads Fund towards debt service that would kind of fill up that percentage. Now, we will work on finalizing the full budget document. And in that document, we typically have charts that will show those percentages and all of that. And we'll get that done over the next, hopefully, month or so.
Maybe I wasn't clear. I was talking about the use of the general fund taxes. What percentage of general fund taxes does each department use?
And that is something that I guess we do prepare in that final budget document that has all the extra charts and all that. I don't have those numbers ready at this time.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Thank you, sir. Director Quinn, I think, is next.
I've been through this more than once, and I have no questions. Thank you.
All right, did I get everybody? I think so. I can't see everyone, so it's hard to make sure I have everyone. I did observe the budget meeting for the Finance Committee, so I don't have any questions except for the action item on the agenda. Christy, it reads fiscal year 2021. Should it read adopt the final budget for 21-22? On the action, on the scroll to page up, on the agenda, actually, the agenda item, I think it should read 21-22. Yeah,
Is the agenda incorrect?
I think the agenda is incorrect. Final budget for year 2020.
Okay, yeah, that can be corrected.
I think it's a minor typological correction. I don't think we need a motion. That the board's all cool with just fixing this, right? For the publishing of the final minutes, I hope.
Yeah, as long as the motion has the right.
Yeah,
That's the important part.
right. Just we want to correct the agenda for the final minutes for the for publishing. And what's your pleasure, board?
Mr. President, if we're ready to accept a motion, I'll make a motion.
Yes, go ahead, please.
All right, I would move the Board of Directors adopt Resolution 20/26 and approve the final budget for fiscal year 21/22.
Second,
I have a motion by Director Grace, and I think it was Director Quinn that seconded.
yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Director Carlin,
Aye.
Director Grace,
Aye.
Director Jensen,
No.
Director Quinn,
Aye.
President Han,
Aye, motion carries 4-1 with Director Jensen in dissent. Item 7, Charlie, adopt resolution 20-21-27, approving updated schedule of fees and charges for various services. Public hearing item, Mr. Jones again.
Thank you, President Han. Under Government Code Section 61115 A1A, the district is authorized to charge fees to cover any of the costs for services that the district provides, as long as the proposed fees and charges do not exceed the estimated reasonable cost for providing these services. The district last reviewed and adopted this fee schedule on November 12th, 2020. We are now trying to review this annually. And the reason we are doing it prior to July 1 is we'd like going forward to have this in place along with the budget for the start of next fiscal year. So these proposed fees and charges would be effective July 1. We do have one new fee that was added, and that's what we're calling a connection request application fee. This is related to when a developer comes and is requesting either a new water connection or a sewer connection. We've had the scenario occur where we have prepared several documents to be filled out and signed and notarized, only to have the applicant back out. And so staff has incurred all that time and costs. And so what we have done here is created a new fee recommended at $50 to cover staff's time in preparing those documents. And then after that is done, it would go through with the rest of the water connection or sewer connection fees. The other fees are all either remain the same or have slight increases ranging from $10 to $20. And that's just to keep in line with our calculated estimates on those services. You can see that summary of the recommended changes there. The full list of fees are detailed in the resolution as well in the user fee study document. And with that, I'll stand with any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I see still no one in the public. Just for the record, Director Carlin.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Director Grace.
I had none, sir.
Director Jensen.
None, sir.
Director Quinn.
I have no questions.
Mr. Jones, if we have a connection request fee and then they end up going through with the connection, will this $50 be credited to that fee for connection? Or is this separate fee added to everything else?
It's a separate fee. The remaining calculations for the water connection and the sewer connection, those amounts are calculated on the remaining work to be done related to those fees. So this is just kind of a separate that just covers that first initial stage of it. So
thank you for that. That's it for me. My colleagues on the board, what's your pleasure here?
I'll make a motion. I move the Board of Directors adopt resolution 20-21-27, approving an updated schedule of fees and charges for various district services.
Second,
Motion by Carlin, second by Quinn. Ms. McEwen.
Director Carlin,
Aye.
Director Grace,
Aye.
Director Jensen,
Aye.
Director Quinn,
aye.
President Han.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. That ends our action items. If there's no objection, I'll wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Hope to see you all at the Cub Lake festivities once or more times. And I adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for your time and efforts. Well done.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Everybody have a great day. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.